Hi! I'm ready for space now. This is my shared book and movie review for The Martian by Andy Weir. I've mentioned this book before in my upcoming book to movie adaptations video, and I've now read it and seen the film, so it's time to talk about it. I have the proof copy, which actually is giant, but then I got the film edition. It's not that big. So actually this one was a tiny bit deceptive. Just so you know, obviously I'm going to talk about the book and the film, but there won't be any big spoilers for the ending of either. First of all, did you know that The Martian was actually self-published initially? Okay, so The Martian is the story of Mark Watney, who is part of an expedition to Mars. It's the Ares 3 mission. When they're a couple of weeks into the mission, they're on Mars in this sort of hab, which is like this sort of tent basically that they live in. There is a storm, they have to evacuate. During the storm, Mark Watney gets hit by something. The crew thinks he's dead and they have no choice but to leave. Turns out Mark Watney is still alive but has no way to contact Earth and let NASA know that he's still alive and kicking. The book is in the form of diary entries, and so they're numbered as Sol, a rotation on Mars. It skips a lot of the days obviously, otherwise it gets a little bit boring. But it's him documenting how he is gonna try and stay alive. And the only way to do that is using Mark Watney's words, science the fuck out of this. There's obviously a lot more to the story. If you've seen the trailer for the film, I feel like a lot of things that are in the trailer are sort of fair game spoiler wise. NASA does find out that he's alive and they try and bring him home. So obviously the last thing they want to happen is that they have to tell everyone on Earth and the crew on the spaceship that's coming home that Watney's alive, but that they can't manage to actually get him back, so he's gonna die anyway. The main character is absolutely fantastic. He is such a sarcastic guy, and obviously the only way to keep yourself sane while being by yourself on Mars for quite a few days / months is to sort of see the humor in it. But it's not even just him. A lot of the other characters, the people working for NASA, some of the other astronauts, are just so funny and have such like spiky personalities. It's fast-paced, it's sort of ridiculous in a lot of ways, and it just really catches you off guard with the humor. At least that's what it did for me. Another very important point, this is all about the potatoes. Potatoes play a very big part in this book. Basically, Mark Watney is a botanist and he doesn't have enough food to wait for the next Mars mission to arrive, so he decides to try and grow potatoes on Mars. There's a very sad scene with the potatoes, possibly the saddest scene in the book. You'll see it when you read it. This book also has a lot of chemistry bits because it's obviously him trying to figure out lots of technical details, and for a lot of it he will say, oh, I won't go into too much detail, so I'll just skip over this. But then they do have enough chemistry in it so that it doesn't sound completely unbelievable. I love the bits where they sort of go back down to Earth and it is the people from NASA reacting to all of this. It really just shows that people are people no matter how high their job is, no matter how well trained they are. I think there's a lot more bits like this in the film, which I really enjoyed. There is a lot of Mark Watney in this book, and I really liked that there were some extra NASA bits built in, which obviously in the film gives you an opportunity to have a lot more characters and give them a bit more airtime. So when it came to the film, I was just really happy to have a film set in space that was really dramatic and like action-packed, but mostly just really fun. Because when you have Interstellar and Gravity, they're just so dramatic that you're on the edge of your seat the whole time and you don't come out of the cinema going, that was really fun. That's the thing about The Martian. It is filled with disco music, which I'm not a fan of disco music, but it plays a big part in the book because he's obviously stuck with all the sort of films and books and music that the other astronauts left behind because they all got to take some stuff, and he is mostly stuck with loads of disco music. And they use that so well in the film, and even the end credits were so much fun. Actually, when it came to watching the film, I decided to not completely finish the book before watching the film. I had about 100 pages left, so I didn't know what the ending was going to be, and I really enjoyed doing it like that, so I think I might start doing that for more films. So read most of the book, you have all the backstory, but the ending's still a surprise. There were so many big actors in this film. I'm really bad at knowing names of actors, but again, I'll put like an IMDb link in the description. It was just really fun to see all of them together in a film. They obviously skipped a lot of complications in the film. There's so much in the book that like goes wrong and he saves it and it goes wrong and he saves it. And so they decided to pick out some bits and leave other ones out, which I don't think was a problem at all. You definitely don't have to have read the book, but you should read the book because it's great. I also really enjoyed seeing old Mars missions show up because obviously there have been a lot of, I don't know what the right word for it is, like explorer vehicles sent off to Mars, and so there's bits where he kind of goes back to that and they sort of have to re-establish contact with it on Earth, and it was just a fantastic space extravaganza. So much fun. Freaking loved it. Also, really good ad for NASA. They come off looking pretty well, although they don't do everything right. In the end, you think, yeah, space is a pretty good idea. We should go there. Also, I just want to say that all the casual NASA loungewear looked super comfortable putting the hat back on. So I think by far The Martian is one of my favorite books I've read this year. It's definitely going to show up in my top 10 at the end of the year. Really, really enjoyed the film. I'm very tempted to go see it in the cinema again. I don't know what else to say besides I highly recommend it. Go check both of them out. I want to say thanks to eBay, the publisher, who sent over both of these copies and some amazing Aries merchandise. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've read the book or seen the film, let me know what you thought in the comments. And I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!